Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode, a fantastic episode, a very special episode of Mostly Football, where we are going to be diving into not only the college football playoffs that've been thrilling so far. Actually, every game I thought was going to be a dud. I mean, I thought Notre Dame and Penn State was going to be a stinker, but
Yeah, I thought so too.
it's been great. And we're going to talk NFL playoffs. We're going to talk about the wild card round that starts off today with the Texans and the Chargers. And then you got the Steelers and the Ravens later on Amazon Prime at 8 o'clock. Divisional clash. A lot of hard hitting. I'm sure it's going to be going on. Nose Flowers. We'll dive into it. But yeah, we've got college and NFL playoffs. And we've got a couple other things here on the docket that I want to bring up to Nate because I know one of them in particular, with involving Carson Beck, is very close to his heart. And then we have a very scandalous story going on over at Fox Sports, so I do want to touch that a little bit as well. So, Nate, how you been, brother? We got We got snow all the way across the south. I got pictures from Texas, Alabama, South Carolina. Everyone's got snow in their yard. How you doing?
Everybody got snow. I've been dealing with snow and the flu. So the little one contracted the flu Thursday. She was here. I was working from home. She had a fever all day, and about like 4:30 ish, her temperature jumped to 102. So we had to take her to the ER. So all she has is the flu. So she just now her mom has it. So now they're together quarantined. Or I don't know if her mom has. Her mom's just been running a fever. So, they are quarantined together for the weekend. So we will see how that plays out.
Okay, well, you avoided it then.
Fingers crossed. I've been a little stuffy, but I'm good. I don't get sick often, and when I do get sick, it is miserable. So I'm praying that I dodge the bullet. So we will see in the next few days. They say it takes about 4 to 5 days to incubate. So my daughter's she caught it Thursday. What is it now? Saturday? So it's only 3 days. So if you don't hear from me Tuesday, I'm probably laying on my deathbed.
Are you a vitamin guy?
I need to be. I need to start being a vitamin guy. My mom has this. She has like these emergency let me show you. She gave me. They take these little things. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. These little things.
Yeah.
Crystal. So it helps with the immune system. So I'm probably going to take about 2 of those right now, just in case, so I can avoid all the extra stuff that's going
on. Yeah. How about how's traffic out there?
Traffic has been nothing. It's been empty.
Okay, so they're keeping the roads clear.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to Texas and snow, obviously we had Snowmageddon of 2020. Everybody remembers that. The whole state shut down. But I mean, when it comes to Texas, if they say snow, just go with we're not getting anything. Like we didn't. There were some places that didn't get any snow. Like there were some parts of Dallas that are like 10 minutes from me that didn't get anything. We got a little bit. It wasn't nothing crazy. So.
Okay. Let me get finished. Almost done here. Got to share it across the world, All right. So let's dive right into how the playoffs are going. Let's get some football. Well, you know what? Yeah, let's talk Carson Beck, and then we'll head on over to Fox Sports.
Here's the thing. It was a smart decision for him to go back to college because the way he played this year was terrible. He played like he forgot how to play football. Because the Carson Beck last year, if we'd have had the Carson Beck last year, we probably win a national title if we had the Carson Beck of last year. Whatever the fuck happened to Carson Beck this year, I don't know. He forgot he was one of the smartest quarterbacks last year. When it came to reading coverages and reading defenses, he was one of the smartest ones. But I have no clue what happened to him this year.
So is the theme pretty obvious, like with him not declaring that he probably felt like he was going to be ranked behind Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders?
Oh, for sure. You look at all the other guys that were coming out. The guy from Penn State, he's coming out. Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders. I just think he would have ended up like Stetson Bennett. I just didn't see enough from him to say he's a first day. He's a first or second date guy.
Yeah.
Like I just don't see him as a first or second day guy. Like he definitely would have fell into that Stetson Bennett role. So I think that's why him deciding to go to Miami was probably the smarter decision to do. So that way he could at least you get into an easy conference. You got a bunch of you don't really have a tough schedule. So you go in, do what you need to do, boost your draft stock, and come out next season.
Now, okay, a right elbow injury. It doesn't exactly detail how bad it was.
He had surgery, so it was bad enough for he had to have surgery, which is the reason why his season ended.
Okay.
So it was bad enough for him to have surgery. So they said he should be throwing by spring. So he goes to Miami. See what happens in Miami.
Now they had another quarterback transfer out as well, right? Like one of their backups transferred out recently.
Who? Georgia? Yeah. One of our 4 stars. He transferred out. He's transferring out as well. Why? I don't know. It's not like we have a lot of quarterbacks coming in this season.
Right.
I don't know what the quarterback situation looks like for Georgia. I don't know how many quarterbacks we have. I just don't think we have. I mean, I think obviously Gunner's going to be there next year, and then whoever else is behind him. We have a ton of weapons coming in, receivers. Obviously, we're going to keep. I think ETN staying. We're going to have and Nate Frazier, the freshman from this year. I think they're all coming back. So, and then we got a ton of 5-star receivers. We just got a transfer from USC. I guess these guys are brothers as a receiver and a safety, so they're coming over. So I think we're going to have to make sure our defense is good because we lost a lot of defenders to the NFL.
Yeah,
so they're going a lot of them declare for the draft. So we're going to see what next year looks like. I think Gunnar Stockton is going to be the guy. I want Mike Bobo gone. I don't like. His play calling for me it looks like very timid play calling for Gunnar Stockton. I feel like we should have opened just again. Notre Dame, their secondary was not that great. And I think and also we had a lot of drop passes, we led the nation in drop passes, which is a huge issue.
Yeah.
Season. So, we'll see what next year looks like. We'll see what next year looks like.
Yeah, I know there was one play in particular where Gunner actually put a nice pass on a guy down the seam there, and he dropped it. I think they ended up scoring with Cash like on the same drive, so it didn't really end up being too consequential. But yeah, with the drops, that's not good. And then with Carson Beck, it's so funny. Like until you see these guys with their helmets off, what a shock it can be. I saw a picture of him with his helmet off, and like people say he looks like. People were saying he looks like Steve Buscemi. It's so funny.
No, I can unsee that. I will not be able to unsee that. That shit is spot on. That is spot on there.
I see him putting on the lipstick before he gets in the game. So yeah, there's that news. Carson Beck headed over to Miami to hopefully fill the shoes of Cam Ward and keep the success going over there. Another story rocking the football world, not quite as football related, shall we say. What is going on over at Fox Sports? It's crazy right now with Joy Taylor and Skip Bayless, and we got a hairdresser involved.
Joy Taylor is giving it up to get shows.
That's from Fox.
She's sleeping her way to the top.
Jason is very proud, I'm sure.
Again, here's the thing for me. I think, come on.
Getting blown up over there.
It's my emails, man. They decide to come in now. And they're still coming. It's emails, dude. It's fucking emails. All right.
A new banner just says email.
I think we're good. So this is one of the things that I have an issue with is I don't understand why sports networks hire people to talk sports who never really played the sport. I guess that makes sense.
That makes sense, but I don't see how it pertains to this story. You mean like Joy
What I
Taylor?
mean is Joy Taylor doesn't really know sport. I mean, even when she was with Colin Cowherd, I mean, she didn't say much. I mean, she was just a face. Like she would literally like interject here and there, but that was really it. And to go from Colin Cowherd as like she said all of like 5 words throughout the show to getting her own show is wild. Like nobody was like, this is kind of a red flag here. Like, how did we get here? And now we're not.
I think I can't knock her too much for that, just because I think your role on a show like that is supposed to be minimal. Like you're kind of there just to bounce ideas off of.
But how do you go from a minimum role? That would be like somebody starting at Walmart, working as a cart pusher or a cashier, and then a year later they are now the store manager. How the fuck does that happen? Like there's steps to these. There's levels to these things. I like, I get like guys like Shannon Sharp. Shannon Sharp has never probably done anything as far as journalism go, but he played the sport. So you want this guy here. Stephen A. worked his way up, but I don't know. The Joy Taylor thing, when I heard it, I was like, no way.
I mean, this to me, what a typical headline we have here from Vox. Okay, so sexual harassment claims involving hosts Skip Bayless and Joy Taylor have become a playground for misogynists online. Yeah, that's the problem. It's all these misogynists online. That's the problem.
How is it our fault? Like this is, and the crazy thing is, the person who the lawsuit's for, she's a hairdresser.
Says this from Kendall Cunningham. Fox isn't exactly known for fostering ethical work environments. However, a new lawsuit against Fox Sports marquee commentators Skip Bayless and network executive Charlie Dixon has sent shockwave through the sports broadcasting industry, emphasizing a bleak reality for women in the field. Here we go.
She set them back about 50 years.
A former hairstylist for the network, Nushin Faraji, filed a lawsuit accusing Bayless, the former co-host of Skip and Shannon, Undisputed, from 2016 to 2024, of making sexual advances toward her, including offering her $1.5 million.
Oh my God. How horny do you have to be to want to offer somebody $1.5 million? How horny do you have to be? Listen, I don't want to pay somebody $40, let alone 1.5. That's more than most bench players will see in a season. You talking about giving somebody one, and he said cash. Like, oh wow, cash. You telling me you gonna give somebody 1.5 million in cash? Are you kidding me? Listen, listen. There's not an amount of horniness in the world that would allow me to say, I want to give you this amount of money to have sex with me. Just listen, you can go. There's people who do this for a living. You can pay them less than that, and they'll do it. I don't get it. Like, why take it to the workplace of all places to do this? Is wild. She's going to get paid. She is going to get paid, and it's going to be way more than 1.5.
Yeah, the hairdresser.
Yes, for sure. It's going to be way more than 1.5 because I'm sure she has screenshots. I'm sure she saved messages, and she said, and I think at one point, she actually recorded Skip Bayless like actually making these advances. So it's not looking good for Fox.
Faraji says that she was, quote, forced to endure a misogynistic, racist, and ableist workplace. Okay, apparently, was she in a wheelchair? Where executives and talent were allowed to physically and verbally abuse workers with impunity.
That sounds about right.
It includes counts of sexual battery, hostile work environment, retaliation, and wrongful termination, because she was also, I only mentioned Skip and Joy Taylor, but I think someone getting kind of lost in this is the VP Charlie Dixon.
Yeah, he was the one that was sleeping with Joy Taylor.
Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he was the reason that she got the show.
Yeah. So I think we're doing pretty good work here in battling the idea that we're all just a bunch of misogynists making fun of
Right.
Joy Taylor.
I
I
don't
mean,
understand this,
we're
but
making fun of Skip Bayless.
But Vox is one of those left leaning places, news articles.
Yeah.
So, but I'm just like, how is it our fault? Like, how is it the internet's fault? We had nothing to do with this. Like, Joy Taylor is going, and what bothers me about all of this is that nobody has said anything yet. No one from Fox has released a statement or anything saying anything. Because if you think about it, if this was like, let's say this was Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen, they would have had to come out and make a statement right away.
Oh, yeah.
Fox has not said anything about these accusations, or they're not true, or we're looking into it, we're conducting investigation. Nathan. They said there's no, and which draws suspicion to me is because typically in a situation like this, if this isn't true, you're going to do your damnedest to like, hey, look, this is bullshit. We are going to look into this. They've said nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the old Shakespeare line. The lady doth protest too much, but nobody's protesting at all here.
At all. No one's protesting. Joy Taylor hasn't said anything. Emmanuel Acho hasn't said anything. The executive, whatever his name, Dixon hasn't said anything. Skip Bayless hasn't said anything. They're just going about their life as it's normal.
Okay, I was wondering what the story would link to, if it was going to be Megyn Kelly or who would be. Apparently, it's Bill O'Reilly. Golly.
Settled $32 million. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I don't know if you remember, but like Megyn Kelly also
yeah, briefly. I don't know. I briefly remember.
Like Ayers or Murdoch, one of those guys. Yeah. So Fox isn't, basically, if you're a woman, you either gotta sleep with everyone or they're just maybe go to CNN or something.
That's crazy, man. That is, these people are, this is ridiculous. This is honestly ridiculous. And it looks bad for Joy Taylor though.
Now, what was the whole thing? Who was calling Shannon Sharpe gay and why?
So this is like middle of last year. So Shannon Sharpe was doing like a TikTok video. He was going to some place to eat. So he gets out of an SUV and he's in this like green sweatsuit. Now, this green sweatsuit
showed off his hammer.
Yeah. It was a bit small for a guy his size. And then he had the whole man purse, and then his mannerisms were kind of odd. When he got out, they were really feminine when he got out of the SUV. So that shit took off, and then like a couple months later, they had the Michelle video. I don't know if you know. So it was Shannon Sharpe allegedly went live on Instagram whilst having intercourse with a young lady by the name of Michelle. And this went on for probably about a good 4 to 5 minutes.
So this was Michelle and not Michelle from Dodgeball?
I don't know. We just know there was a female voice, and then there was Shannon Sharpe, and you can hear them in the back having intercourse. But the thing is, a lot of people's like, how do you not know you're live on Instagram? There's so many things you have to do to go live on Instagram. And when asked about it, he was like, yeah, I didn't know. He's like, I had no clue that was happening. And, you know, I think because of how much he was being made fun of for being gay, I think that was something that he was like, I have to show them. He says he didn't do it. He says that wasn't the intent.
Yeah.
But I believe it was.
So nobody's linking him to like Biggie or anything like that?
They were torching his ass. You hear me? They were torching. He was a meme for a good couple months. They were torching his ass for his getup. And like I said, it just, when he got out, it was just a lot of like feminine movement. And then the way he was standing was kind of feminine. Like I said, he had the little man purse. So it just didn't sit well.
Dude, that's so strange to me. I thought it was something like linking him with like Diddy parties and stuff. Because
No, none of that nature. No.
if that's the case, like nobody dresses more feminine than Cam Newton, and he does not give a fuck what people say about him. So maybe Shannon needs to get him some more like Cam Newton swag.
Well, Cam, but the thing is, the way Cam dresses doesn't match his mannerisms. So, like, when he dresses the way he dresses, like Cam still, you can still see that's Cam. You're not gonna say shit.
He's a huge man in a dress, yeah.
Right. You're not gonna say nothing to this 6'5", 240-pound man. The way Shannon Sharp came out, it was like, man, they were torching his ass. They were on him. It was like, it was bad. And then, like I said, the Michelle video came out. I mean, you can't see anything. It was more of like the phone was laying on where it was laying and it was face up, but you can hear everything that was going on. You can hear Shannon Sharp. You can hear the lady. You can hear everything. So it went on, and that's again, it went on for like 4 to 5 minutes. And then I think at some point they realized they were live, and then they cut the feed. So
that's pretty strange.
I call bullshit, but you know,
that is pretty strange. Well, now we make the transition from Shannon Sharp having sex and Skip Bayless offering $1.5 million to some actual football. Woo! Nate, we had between Thursday and Friday, we had some fantastic football games in the college playoffs, and I just wanted to give a quick review of where we started and how we got here. So initially, we had 1, 2, Arizona State and Oregon, 3, Boise State, 4, Georgia, 4 teams with byes who are no longer in the playoffs, which is pretty wild.
Every team that had a bye lost.
Pretty wild.
Every team, and they were all technically home teams. Every one of them fucking lost.
You had Clemson in this thing. You had Tennessee in this thing. SMU, Indiana, all fell off in the first round.
So they're going to be making adjustments next season to the playoffs, basically stating that the conference champions are not guaranteed the top 4 spots. So basically it's going to be the top 4 teams, which it should have been. The top 4 teams are going to be, I think, is going to be those teams that get the byes, which I think it should have been. It should have been that way from the get-go. Honestly, I think it should be the top 12 teams. I don't care who wins their conference. I don't care who wins what. If you're in the top 12, period. This is what you said. You want the top 12, because then you throw guys in like Penn State and SMU. They're out of their weight class. Like, and it showed. Penn State, SMU and Boise State shouldn't have been there at all. They should not have been there. It should be the top 12, 1 to 12, however they finish the season, 1 to 12. But here's the one thing I feel like the issue is. They do it because SEC we're always going to have the toughest schedule.
Yeah.
We're always going to have the toughest schedule. Notre Dame, Ohio State, all those teams that are not in the SEC, they cruise to the playoffs every fucking year. I mean, the hardest team Ohio State played this year was Michigan. They lost to Oregon. The only reason why they lost to Oregon is because what's his name had a fucking brain malfunction and decided to run with 6 seconds left and no timeouts. And so that's the only reason why they lost to Oregon.
Now, did they beat Penn State or did they lose to Penn State?
Who?
Ohio State.
Listen, James Franklin cannot beat Ohio State. Okay, he will never beat Ohio State. It's never even close. How Penn State, Ohio State goes is this. Beginning of the game, it's 7-7 or 7-3 every year. And then at some point, Ohio State says, okay, belt to ass. And then before you know it, they lose by 20. It's like it's the same shit every year with them. Penn State start off good. And then at some point, Ohio State just like, yeah, fuck y'all. And they just run the table. It's the same shit every year.
Yeah.
So they hype up Penn State, Ohio State. And if you watch college, like I do, it's the same shit every year. And the thing is, I was rooting for Penn State this year for whatever reason. I know how the game's going to turn out, but you're just like, maybe this is the year that he beats Ohio State, and no, it never happens. So, it is what it is.
Well, we had our boy Marcus Freeman here of Notre Dame. 7-0 versus ranked opponent, took down Penn State in the final minutes of this game.
I don't like that number.
You don't like the number?
I don't like that number. And I say I don't like that number because that 7-0 against ranked opponents is it varies. Okay, a ranked opponent is anybody in the top 25. That's a ranked opponent. So if I don't know if fucking Colorado is 25 and they smoke Colorado, guess what? That's his win column. I don't like that number. That number is skewed, and I don't like it. It's like I can see if it was like against top 10 opponents. I give you that. But
yeah,
that's a very vague statement. I mean, anybody in the top 25. Hell, I think the team that beat them, NIU, was at one point ranked. So does that count?
No, yeah, that's a good. I mean, NIU didn't. I mean, they beat Ohio State, didn't they?
No, they beat Notre Dame.
Oh, that's right.
They beat Notre Dame the second game of the season.
Oh, yeah. Jesus Christ.
So that's what I'm saying. So if at some point NIU becomes ranked, or if they start off the season ranked and they beat them, I don't like that number.
Yeah.
I really don't. I don't like it.
This was a super interesting game. Stats-wise, no one really stood out besides Singleton here. He had 3 touchdowns. He was doing everything for Penn State. He was absolutely devastated at the end when Aller threw that pick. But yeah, Tyler Warren here, 6 for 75. He's a beast. He does it all for Penn State. But ultimately, this was the hero of the game right here, Jaden Greathouse. I mean, I think I heard he had 95 receiving yards all year.
But this is what makes me mad. I mean, look at those numbers. Riley Leonard didn't do shit, but he threw one interception. He threw 1 touchdown. That's what irritates me. That shit right there. He had 11 for 40. And these are guys that they came in hyping these guys up. Notre Dame has a great backfield. A great backfield doesn't give you 11 carries for 46 yards and a touchdown or 45 yards and a touchdown. That's not a great backfield.
Right.
That's Riley Leonard threw for 15. He was 15 for 23. A touchdown and 2 interceptions. If Penn State was any better than what they were, this game should have been a blowout. You telling me 1 touchdown is no? Get the fuck out of here, man!
I can't believe
this is true. And I think the defense gave him a touchdown.
Right, and I can't believe it's true, but I don't believe a Penn State wide receiver caught a pass.
That's the sad part. That is the fucking sad part about this. This is what irritates me is that if we'd have been prepared for Notre Dame, because you can't. No one, Kirby Smart, Mike Bobo. Nobody on that team can tell me we were prepared for Notre Dame. There's just no fucking way. Notre Dame didn't play anybody this year. And they were talking about, they were so dominant. Yes, you're dominant when you don't play nobody. Okay? You can dominate. I can dominate it. I can dominate a Duke. I can dominate a North Carolina. I can dominate teams when we don't have to play anybody.
Right. Yeah, the whole independent status thing is pretty crazy.
I think the NCAA needs to force them to get into a conference. And I think they need to be in a conference with Ohio State. Yeah. That's what I think. I believe they need to be in a conference I think they need to be in the Big 10 or the Big 12. That's what I believe. Because this independent shit is bullshit. Because they get to make any schedule. They make an easy schedule every fucking year. And they skate their way to the playoffs. There's no way they should. If they would have had half the toughness that our schedule was, we wouldn't be talking about Notre Dame right now.
Right.
Like I think that's one of the things that the NCAA needs to look at is I think if you're ranked, I think ranked opponents should play ranked opponents.
Mm-hmm.
I think you should have at least 5 or 6 ranked teams on your schedule. Well, I guess you can't if it's conference-wise, but I think you should play at least 2 or 3 ranked opponents.
Right.
Like, obviously, you get the first game of the season. It's your punching bag game. You play a fucking Appalachian State or something. And then you get into the thick of it because What we had to do this year was bullshit. I'm going to say that up and down. What we had to do was absolute bullshit. We played Alabama at Alabama. We played Texas at Texas. We played Ole Miss at Ole Miss. Fuck you. Like, that's bullshit. No, we had the hardest schedule out of all the playoff teams. So I think the NCAA need to look into that because Notre Dame skates to the fucking playoffs every year and it's bullshit.
Now, as a coach, Marcus Freeman seems to be, the hottest ticket out there right now, besides maybe, Vrabel. But do you think Marcus Freeman gets, you think he moves up NFL?
No, he would. He listen to me. If you put Marcus Freeman with an NFL team, he's fired. He's fired after the first year. His team is not good. They are not well coached. They're not. Let me say it. They're well coached, but they're not as good as people making them out to be. That's just be honest. Like he's had a tough time at Notre Dame. This is just the first year that they had a really easy road. And then, like I said, it doesn't matter what your rank is. If you're unprepared, you're gonna lose.
Yeah,
100 times out of 100. If you are unprepared and you're thinking that our talent alone is gonna beat this team, you're fucking crazy. And that's at any level, pros, college, high school. If your team is unprepared, you're going to lose 100%. And we were unprepared for Notre Dame after being off for 3 weeks.
And for anyone who didn't watch this game and hasn't heard a lot about it, like Penn State was very much in a position to win this game. And like we said, Aller hadn't completed a pass to a receiver all game long, and then they decided to go 2-minute offense to try and drive down the field at the end and get in field goal range. And Aller's under pressure. He makes a desperation throw all the way across the field. Probably didn't see where he was throwing to begin with. And Notre Dame took advantage of the short field, and then you had Jeter kick the game winner. So it's not like, Notre Dame handled them the entire time.
Right. Exactly. And I don't know. I just, at this point, I hate this is the national championship we have. We have Ohio State versus Notre Dame. I hate that we have that. But there was a silver lining out of all this. The Longhorns learned a very tough lesson last night. You're not that good, buddy. Okay? Y'all are not. Quinn Ewers need to stay. Okay? Quinn Ewers does not need to go to the pros. He is the reason they lost this game. He is the reason they lost this game. There's no one else to blame but Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers, it was 21-14. Okay? They're deep in the red zone. I think they're at the either 10. They're at they were deep in the red zone. Run. You gotta go. You have got to go.
Yep.
You gotta go. You cannot just stay. I'm watching this. I'm like, run, Quinn, run, and there you go. Fumble, and he returned it. I'm like,
and I got to look at that play again. But Texas had been check this comment here in a second. Texas had been using their backs really well, as receivers, having them leak out and stuff. And on that play, I just, for whatever reason, didn't seem like they had the matchups really figured out, and it looked like he wanted to go to the corner, even though the guy was doubled.
If it's not, I don't. This is what bothers me about a lot of coaches, and it does the same thing for the pros as well. Is if you have a mobile guy, they have to know something. If it's not there, use your fucking legs. Yeah. Get out of there. Stop standing there. It's because what you're looking for is not going to open. If your mental clock is now at 3, you need to run, because at this point somebody's coming and it's over. Either that or just eat the ball and just take the sack. because Quinn Ewers should have ran the ball. All he had to do was run. I feel like if I'm trying to remember the play, I think he had an opportunity to get a couple yards. Just run, dude. Just get out of there. And now you give up a fucking touchdown, and now it's 28-14. And then he throws an interception in the game.
Well, on top of that, I mean, how about the irony of Jack? I didn't know Jack Sawyer and him were roommates back in the day.
That had to have been the sweetest moment of his career, because that was his second return touchdown for turnover return for a touchdown in his career. And of course it comes on his old roommate to seal the game. And had to be sweet. Nothing could have been more sweeter to end your career like that.
For real. He said he blacked out after the game. He didn't even really know what the hell was happening. The game was very interesting. Like, Ohio State was in the lead. Like, they had all the momentum in the beginning. Texas could not move the ball. They were not stopping them on offense. And then suddenly, like, Texas, like we said, they figured out how to use their running backs as receivers really well in the second half. All of a sudden, the pressure was getting there in the second half. Howard didn't have a whole lot of time to throw. So they did start to come back. And then, Texas gets down in the red zone, that exact play you described, and that was really, like, sealed the deal for sure.
The problems that I had was your back scored 2 touchdowns for you, and they were both receiving touchdowns.
Right.
Well, see, Mr. Blue here, he has 2 touchdowns. I don't understand why you don't keep going to that, because it's clear to me their linebackers are not fucking paying attention. Like, one of the touchdowns, Blue was just butt-ass naked. Nobody was near him. He was just running free, and I'm just like, okay, so we need to keep playing on this. There's so many things you could do with running backs to help your situation. Like angle routes, fucking screenplays. There's things you can do. The Texas pissed the game away. And again, I've always said I've been this guy. I don't like Quinn Ewers. I didn't like him last year. I didn't like him the year before. I don't like Quinn Ewers because Quinn Ewers is inconsistent. He's extremely inconsistent. There were a couple throws I'm just like, what the fuck was he looking at? Quinn Ewers he should do what Carson Beck does and stay in a little longer.
Well, it's interesting too, because I remember he was like considered a top, quarterback in the nation last season coming into this season. He's holding off Arch Manning.
Yeah, he's not that guy. He's not. He's and you can't tell a Texas fan that, because I actually worked with a Texas fan. He was like, no. Quinn Ewers is a bad quarterback. Okay? He's been bad. He's the reason y'all have been struggling. He's the reason. Like, look at his numbers. His numbers don't jump off the board at you. He doesn't do spectacular things with his legs. His arm is average at best. Yeah. Maybe a little bit above average. I don't see, if he decides to go if he decides to go, I don't see him. He might be a day 3 guy. Unless somebody's really, really desperate, he might be a day 2 guy.
Yeah, I mean, just think of the weapons you lost between Worthy and Adonai Mitchell, Tavian Sanders, Bijan Robinson. I mean, it basically all came down to, can you carry the team now? But
the guys he got now are not bad.
True.
Isaiah Bond, that Golden kid, the running backs are great. What's his name? Gunnar Helm is a monster. Okay, yeah. I was worried when we played them the first 2 times. He was my concern. Him and Isaiah Bond were my biggest concerns. They didn't use him. Like, I don't think Ohio State linebackers are good pass rushers. I don't think they're very great in coverage, and they didn't exploit that whatsoever. Look, just that was the play. Like, dude, look, you see just run, get out of there.
So, yeah, as you can see, I mean, 21-14, a little over 2 minutes left. Plenty of time to tie it up.
If you look, the lane's there. The lane, look to the left. You see, just go, bro. Just get out of there. Nobody's there. He could get easily to at least a 5-yard line. Easily the 5-yard line. Just get out of there.
I mean, honestly, he probably would get sacked.
But
Just
nothing's
because,
there. But if you can
but
see, nothing's there.
this is what I'm talking about that really confuses me. All you had on fourth down, all you had after this guy has been a receiving threat was you just send him on a little swing. Like,
That's
that's
it.
wild.
Like I don't like put him out wide. I'm gonna make him do some type of angle route or some type of comeback. Just
So,
it was such a bad play call. If it's listen, 4th and goal, okay, you gotta have your best plays. Empty backfield, spread the defense out, make them cover everybody. Okay, if they want to blitz, somebody's gonna be open. You gotta make them do something. Something.
yeah.
And my question was why none of the routes are in the end zone.
Well, yeah, I want to go back. I'm almost positive. I don't know if we get a bird's eye view of it, but I'm almost positive that they wanted to go to a corner route.
And then you had 2 guys in the same area.
Right.
Like, okay, here it is, right here.
I think they wanted Helm in the corner, and then this Bond, I think, is this or Golden?
Here's my question: Why use that side of the field? All your space is to the right of you. Why go? Now you just shrunk the field. These defenders don't have to do anything. All they gotta do is make sure they don't catch the ball. Because if you throw it, it's at some. Look, it's why I don't understand why teams do that. Yeah. If you're gonna do that, isolate. Put your best guy over there in that corner. Put the rest on the right. If you're gonna do that, isolate one-on-one. Why would you have three routes all running to the left side, which is basically nothing. And it's all covered. Look, you got 1, 2, 3, 4 guys over there. You have 1, 2, 3 receivers. So you got 4-3. Who's gonna win this matchup?
Yeah. And there's just not a lot of space for that corner route. I mean, it's an interesting call for sure.
Look at this. Then over here, you have 3-2. One of these routes, if you run, one of these routes could win. You have enough space over here. I don't get that. I don't get that play call.
If Jaden Blue is truly man-to-man with the linebacker here, then that should have been something a little.
I don't get it.
Yeah,
I don't get it. That play, it didn't make a lot of sense to me. I was mad. I was pissed because I don't like Ohio. I hate Ohio State more than I hate Texas. And I hate Ohio State because they were running their mouth the year we beat them. It was like, oh, we would beat y'all if our best players would have played. That was the year JSN, he opted out. He opted out and he didn't want to play. And I'm like, the fuck that got to do with us? It's not our fault your best players didn't want to help y'all win a national title and they just saw money. So go fuck yourself. And they've been running their mouth ever since. And then they beat Tennessee and they're like, we run the SEC. Buddy. No, buddy, you don't. You absolutely don't. Let's not do this. So I was just like, I hate Ohio State, but for Texas to crap the bed like that and Sark just, you gotta be a better play caller than that. Like, you're an offensive minded head coach. You gotta be better than that, dude. You got to play better. You got to have your best play call. You have to.
Yeah. I will say, God, I hate to go back to it. Maybe, the guy on the far right, I think he was running like a dart angle to the inside, and I don't even think that was going to be open. But maybe, I think, Jack Sawyer getting free as quickly as he did sure didn't help the play.
But I mean, if I'm that far into the red zone and the ball's on the left hash, I'm not going to overload the left side with 3 guys. Right. I'm not because you don't have a lot of space to work with. Right. Unless it's a rub route and this is going to work to fucking perfection. I'm not running anything because you give Quinn Ewers, he's not as accurate as you think he is. So you give him less field to work with. I'm honestly, dude, I didn't understand the play call, and I'm just like, and Quinn Ewers got to know, look, dude, you got to feel it. You got to know if you've been in this pocket, you've been scooting for a little bit now. Your scoop should be a run now. You should be moving forward at this point. And I think I'm pretty sure the reason the fumble happened is because he was getting ready to throw the ball. I don't know to who, but he was getting ready to throw the ball to somebody or somewhere, and I don't think it'd have been.
He was going to throw it up to Gunnar Helm, who had 2 guys on him, and it was going to be just a dog pile in the end zone.
Yeah, it'd have been a shit. I don't know, man. I just think Texas got dominated from the get-go because it was I think it was like second quarter when they finally scored again, when they scored their first touchdown. So it's going to be a lesson learned. But one thing I have heard is that Sarkisian his name has been floating around the NFL for a head coaching job. Yep. But I don't think he's going to take it. I think he's going to love college. I think he wants to stay there because he's already been in the NFL. That fucker was our offensive coordinator one year, and I wanted to set his house on fire.
That was with Kyle as the coach?
No, we had Mike Smith I think Mike Smith was still there.
Okay, no, Kyle was never the coach. That's right.
No. Mike Smith. Yeah, Mike Smith was this was the Mike Smith era when they brought his. And apparently he had a drinking problem at the time. So not only did we have to deal with his shitty play calling, we had to deal with his alcoholism, which was fucking fun for Falcon fans.
That's why they drafted Tevin Coleman. Gotcha. So yeah, now we're gonna have Notre Dame, Ohio State.
Ohio State's gonna run away with this. There's
college championship.
Jeremiah Smith is going to run. He's going to have a fucking field day with that secondary. And that was the craziest thing. Ohio State didn't beat them with their best player. Jeremiah Smith, I think he made a couple catches. I'm not 100% sure, but it was more. Ohio State was more prepared than Texas was.
The screen pass to Henderson right before the half was a real backbreaker.
If I was a Texas fan, I would have took a baseball bat to my TV.
I mean, that man took a 75-yard screen.
75 yards.
Like 20 seconds to go.
I'm just like, wait a minute. Because at first I'm like, okay, screenplay, they just trying to run the clock out. I'm like, oh, shit. He gets past secondary. Oh, he has blockers. And there he goes. I was like, no fucking way.
And my boy, Taffy, I don't know what the hell. He took this horrible angle and crashed into his own guy and never had a shot.
He's probably like my own. He's like one of my favorite players on Texas. Because it's just the way he plays. He plays with a lot of fucking aggression. And I like that.
Yeah. Well, and they did one of those like before a game. I remember he had one of those tragic stories where like he lost a friend, so he's been playing for him ever since. Of course, I cried and I've been rooting for him now. It worked. It worked, ESPN.
Oh man,
And so that was that's college. That's how it's going to go. And you think Ohio State's going to run away with that one?
For sure. Yeah. I think they're going to be well prepared. And like I said, Notre Dame is not a good team. I mean, think about it. Think about what happened to them the last time they were in the national championship. Who the fuck did they have to play?
They're going to need a
what the fuck happened to them? They got their shit pushed in. I don't see them being able to deal with this. Ohio State's they're an extremely expensive team. They paid a lot of money for that team, and I think that team's well put together. And I think that they're going to run away with this. Their defense is just better. Their offense is just better. It's going to be a long day. It's going to be a long day for Notre Dame.
Was that Ian Book? Jimmy Clausen? Who the hell got them to that championship?
Oh, I have no idea. I just know that was the Manti Te'o time when he had his fake girlfriend. So, but before we switch over to college, I want to get your thoughts on how do you think one of the greatest NFL head coaches is going to fare at UNC?
Before we get to that, I want to get to this comment here. We got from some crazy, I don't know if this is Arabic or Yiddish or what the hell this is, but they asked, are there fans in the United States who belong to violent ultras organizations for football or basketball teams like in Europe? Well, here's what I can say about that crazy name that I don't know how to pronounce. If you've ever been to a 49ers Raiders game, you'll know that there are definitely some dangerous organizations out there that go to football games and beat the shit out of each other.
Shit, Eagles fans too. Don't exclude yourself from that shit. Hey, listen. I will always say the worst fan base in NFL is the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay, because if you can boo Santa Claus, there's something wrong with your fan base. Okay? You can boo Santa Claus. There's something wrong with your fan base.
Very true. Very true. Throw snowballs, throw bottles. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
not.
Yeah. It's the Philadelphia Eagles. I would like to go to an Eagles game in Philadelphia, but I don't know if I want to.
You would. It's awesome.
No, I don't know.
Just don't wear anything Falcons. You'll be fine.
Yeah, okay.
But as far as Belichick goes, man, I think it'll be great not only for like college football on the whole, but the ACC specifically. I mean, now you have another powerhouse. You're not just going to get Clemson every year, and maybe Florida State now, but Clemson has been dominating that conference for too long, and it's time to have someone else step up and really challenge them. And I think just Belichick's name alone, even if you don't believe he actually is that great of a head coach, and as soon as Tom Brady left, he didn't really win much afterwards.
Are you a little salty right now?
I think Bill Belichick has a nose for defense, and he needs to stay away from everything offensive related.
Well, I think so. He got his quarterback. So the guy that initially committed to UNC, once they found out who the head coach, he decided to stay. So he did bring his son on I think he's going to do with the defense. So I think that team is going to be really good defensively. But I think he's going to bring in somebody that's really, really smart offensively.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to help that school because they need it. I know they're tired of being called basketball school because that's all they are at this point. But
you think they're going to bring in Gerard Mayo?
Too soon. That's a rough season for him. That was a rough season. But I can't blame him because Drake May didn't have the New England Patriots has never had a real receiving core. They've never had a real receiving core. I mean,
been years,
the years Randy Moss is probably the best receiver that organization's ever seen.
They had to bring him in. They had to bring Wes Welker in from another team. They didn't draft either of those guys.
I mean, they draft Amendola, who, for what he was worth, was good. He was good for what he was worth.
Yeah.
The tight end, they always did good with tight ends.
Yeah, they did nail the two tight ends. Yeah.
And then, I mean, you think about it. I mean, they never really had like a really standout tight end receiving core in general. I don't think they've ever had a real number one, number two receiver. And then I think with them not having that, and I think it was just terrible. But I think whoever the head coach is, they got the cap space. I think you need to go get some receivers. Go after a guy like a T. Higgins or whoever other free agent receivers available. I think you make a play for them because if not, Drake May is going to be considered a bust. I mean, you look at Bo Nix. Bo Nix is the guy that I've been talking about all year.
Oh, yeah. Now, here's quick transition over to Las Vegas. Initially, only Antonio Pierce got the can, and the plan was to keep GM Tom Telesco.
Tom Brady was like, fuck that.
And then it was like a day later. Now, my question to you is, do you think it was they were feeling the heat from the optics of firing a black coach in his first year and keeping the white GM?
No. Tom Brady had every listen, Tom Brady's a minority owner. Bullshit. Okay? If you believe Tom Brady's a minority owner and won't have a hand, bullshit. He has more power than the guy with the dumbass bowl cut. Okay? All right? He has more power than that guy does. That's why he fired the GM, because Tom Brady said this. He said he wants the coach and the GM to be in sync. So that's why they fired. That's why Tom Brady, everything that happens, whoever they draft at quarterback is Tom Brady's decision.
Yeah.
Whoever they hire as head coach and GM, Tom Brady's decision. Everything that's going to happen is going to be because of Tom Brady. You think that we're going to bring in a 7-time Super Bowl champion to help our organizations and not ask for his input? Shit. You're dumb if you do that. So I think they may get out the poverty teams. You know, they may leave that poverty line and actually be something decent. I don't think they're going to make a splash in that division, but I think it's gonna be pointing in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, look, you got a guy who already set rookie records as a tight end. So
Yeah, so you got your tight end. Your receivers are below average. Let's be honest. I mean, surprisingly, one of them went over 1,000 yards. Your running back situation is and that's my question. What do you do? What do you do at this point? Well, I guess you could take a quarterback because running backs are not really high. You're not going to get Ashton Genty. I think he might end up. With the Cowboys.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking either you try to sign a free agent running back, or you try to get one. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of good running backs coming out this season.
Right.
But you got to fix you got to pair your young guy with a run game. That's just what it is because you don't have one right now. Right. Alexander Madison is butt cheeks. Zaire White, as much as I like that he was a bulldog, butt cheeks. Okay. Your front game is then you got Amir Abdullah. He's ass. He's worse than butt cheeks. Okay. So you got to figure out the run game. You can't compete with teams like Kansas City, Denver, and the Chargers with no run game. Like all those teams have run games. You can't do that.
No, I totally agree. And let's, on that note, dive right into more NFL. Let's talk playoffs, baby. Starting today in about just under 3 hours here. We have the Houston Texans at home taking on the Los Angeles Chargers. Jim Harbaugh and the boys coming into town to take on D'Amico and a CJ Stroud who just looks like he has no confidence. A Joe Mixon who couldn't get anything going last week against the Ravens, or 2 weeks ago anyway. And yeah, I don't
know what happened. In the beginning of the season, they looked amazing.
Yes.
Now everybody's like, well, he's having his sophomore slump. No, sophomore slumps start in the beginning of the season, and they continue throughout the season. Yeah. I don't know what the fuck this is right now. CJ Stroud looks scared.
It's because you hate to think that like one guy has such an impact on the team, especially when like Tank wasn't having a great season to begin with, but there is something to, the locker room and the mojo and all that stuff. And boy, to have a devastating injury like that, I think is still on top of some of their minds. They haven't really dusted that off yet. And
I mean,
they're going to need to today because the Chargers are going to come at them like
losing Tank Dell, losing Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
Those were fucking, that shit was painful.
Yeah.
But you got to bounce back, man. Like you got to, all right, if you still got Nico Collins, run the ball. Yeah. Run Joe Mixon. You have Joe Mixon. Lean on Joe Mixon. The Bengals let him go because they didn't think he had it anymore. I'm leaning on him. Like he's still CJ Stroud is still a young guy. You got to lean on your run game.
Yeah.
Lean on the run game. Let the run game set up those plays because you can't just have him throw the ball that much. And I'm going to tell you, the Charger has their defense. I think they're in the top 10 this year. It's going to be a long fucking day for them. It's at home, but it's going to be a long goddamn day for them.
You can't fall behind. You can't get in third and longs. You got Bosa, Khalil Mack, and Tui Pelotu coming after you.
And they can run the ball.
Yeah.
J.K. Dobbins is healthy. They can run the ball. Huh?
He's coming into this questionable. Gus Edwards is healthy. I guess J.K. is coming into this questionable with an ankle. So
I think he's going to play. I don't see him missing his first play. I don't see him missing a playoff game.
Oh, I think he'll play. I just think we might see a bit more of Zeke Elliott than we anticipated.
Hey, you know what? Again, as much as I don't like Jim, and I hate the way his style of offense is boring as shit, but it works. I mean, who the fuck thought they were going to be 11? Who thought the Chargers were going to be 11-6?
Right?
Not me. I'm sure didn't think they were going to be 11-6. But when you have, I mean, Ladd McConkey, I thought he was going to be a slot. He is a number one guy.
Let's just stay there for a second because I know this has been stated probably throughout the season, but I just want to really hammer it home here in the wild card round of the playoffs. This is a Chargers team that fucking lost Austin Eckler, Mike Williams, and Keenan Allen. and somehow got better. That is crazy.
You lose your everybody. I was like, there's no fucking way that this team is going to be good without Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. Austin Eckler was on a downfall, but he still produced.
Yeah.
And then when you looked at their roster, you're looking at Lad McConkey, Quentin Johnson, who had bricks for fucking hands.
Yeah,
he couldn't catch a hold. Yep. And then you had Palmer and a couple other guys, and then you're just like, what the fuck? There's no way this team is going to be good. And then they get J.K. Dobbins, and then they run the ball a lot, and they run to 11 wins. Who the fucking thought?
Now, do you think the Chargers will win by more than 3?
Nah, I don't. No, because the Texans have pride. Okay. Part of me wanted to say yes, but the Texans have pride, and I don't think they're going to beat. I think it might be a 2-score game.
Even with them only putting up 2 points on a safety versus the Ravens, they got that kind of pride? Is that the kind of pride you're talking about down there in Texas? The kind that doesn't let you get any points?
I forgot. What? Do you know what? I forgot that game. You know.
I do hope. I'm looking forward to seeing John Mechie. I hope he's back healthy. I've always liked him since Alabama. So hopefully he can step up for them and give them another weapon besides Collins.
This game is going to be a bloodbath. Okay,
could be.
It's in Houston, but the Texans really don't know what the fuck they're getting themselves into.
Now we have a game tonight.
That's Baltimore. Baltimore all the way. The Pittsburgh Steelers have been on just a straight downfall. It's crazy. At the time, so I saw this video. So at the time when Pittsburgh beat Baltimore the first time, I think Baltimore was like they were like 8-5 at the time, and Pittsburgh Pittsburgh had a better record. And then how does Pittsburgh lose 4 straight?
4 straight.
And Baltimore won 4 straight. So Baltimore wins 4 and you lose 4. I think the momentum is still with Baltimore, and you're in Baltimore. I think the momentum's still with them, and I think this is going to be. I don't think it's going to be an ass whooping like the last time they met, but it's not going to be a fun game for Pittsburgh.
And here's what's interesting to me. So this game actually opened with the Ravens favored. They were favored by 8.5. They lose their best receiver, and somehow those Vegas money makers are still like, you know what? The Steelers suck so bad. We're going to give Baltimore an extra point, even though they lost their best receiver. That's fucking wild to me.
Yeah, because the thing is Baltimore is going to do what Baltimore does. And for whatever reason, the Harbaugh brothers, they have the same fucking formula. They're going to run the ball. Yeah. They're going to run Derrick Henry. It's going to be cold, so they're going to run Derrick Henry. They're going to run Lamar Jackson. They're going to do play action. They're going to do all those things that's necessary to keep that Pittsburgh defense off balance.
Right.
Because the thing is, whether you're at home or you're on the road, if you let TJ Watt take over the game, your ass is in trouble.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen. Your ass is in trouble if you let him take over the game. And I think for sure they're not going to let them take over the game. And it's going to be a Baltimore win. But I have a question for you. If you're the owner for Pittsburgh and you had Mike Tomlin for 20 years, or however long he's been there, I think he's been about 20 years, do you retain him? Do you give him an extension? So now, mind you, he has won you a Super Bowl, but that was way back in 2006 sometime. It was 2000. It was early 2000. He hasn't been back since. He hasn't had a losing season. He hasn't. I think he's had a couple playoff wins, but none recent.
Right.
If his contract expires and you're the owner, do you keep him?
Yeah, I think this will be 4 straight years they've lost, like in the first round of the playoffs or something like that.
Right. But he's always had a winning season.
Right. I personally would keep him. I think the fan base loves him. I don't think it's not anything like it's not like McCarthy where your fans expect something new and fresh, and if you don't get someone, you might lose ticket sales. I think the fan base is going to show up for Tomlin for sure. They love him, and like you said, they still had success. I mean, this team with two quarterbacks who were left for dead in the last offseason. I mean, Broncos split ways with Wilson, and the Bears didn't want Justin Fields. So to be where they are with both those guys, and I guess they're going to try to sprinkle in Justin Fields a little bit more today to get a spark going on offense. But I would keep Tomlin. Yeah.
Because I know his contract is, I think his contract's up soon. Because I was hearing there was like a bunch of news articles coming out that Chicago may be thinking about a trade for either Tomlin or it was another coach that's still on the contract they were thinking about trading for. I'm like,
I love a coach trade. Coach trades are so rare. I enjoy them.
They're very rare. But I mean, the last coach trade was Sean Payton, but I'm just like, look what Denver had to give up. But, I don't know. I don't know. I think at this point, how much a winning season is a winning season. Yeah. But is it really a winning season if you hadn't been to the divisional round or the AFC Championship game in God knows how long?
I'm glad you brought that up because I was thinking about it earlier today. You and I, we're not as young as we used to be, and we're learning different lessons in life. And oftentimes, when I talk to someone about whether or not the Eagles are going to make the big game, or you listen to other people talk about making the big game, they say Super Bowl or bust. This whole thing is not even worth it if you don't go to the Super Bowl. And from a competitor standpoint, that totally makes sense, right? Like no one remembers like the third place team or whatever. Right. So I totally get that. But just as a person, that is absurd. Like think of all the storylines and narratives and different adversities you go through throughout the season to just say that, because we didn't make the Super Bowl, this whole thing, is just worthless is so fucking stupid to me. Like, the fact that Russell Wilson kind of showed that he still has it, and the fact that, again, like you said, Mike Tomlin's been with his team forever. So the fact that he showed he can put up a winning season with this motley crew, that's totally worth it. Like you can take a lot of moral victories from a season like this just because you didn't fucking win the big game. Doesn't mean it was all for naught. And I think hopefully I wish people would start to take it because it's just such a black and white, like, you win it all or you don't. But like there's more nuance to it than that. And that whole saying of enjoying the journey and not just the destination.
I agree and I disagree. And the reason why I disagree is because if you look at a team like, let's say Carolina, right? Carolina was shit all year.
Yeah.
They bench Bryce Young. Andy Dalton comes in. They win a couple games. Andy Dalton gets hurt. Bryce Young comes back in. Bryce Young comes back in. He's playing out of his fucking mind. They win a couple games. They almost beat the Eagles. They almost beat the Chiefs. They beat the Falcons to keep them out of the playoffs. They play fucking great football. If you're a fan of that team, your expectations, you can say this was good. We ended the season strong. You can say that. You can say we ended the season strong because we were up and down. We didn't know if Bryce Young was going to be our guy. He's playing like shit in the beginning of the season. He gets benched. He comes back in, and then he's playing like a true number one quarterback. Cool. But if your team, like the fucking Falcons, okay, and you start off 6-3, you're leading the division, okay, and you lose 4 straight, right? And then you get into a fucking playoff situation where now you got to rely on motherfuckers to lose. No. Absolutely not. This was a failed season.
The bitter part about the Falcon season is it does make you wonder, had we turned to Penix sooner, what would that have? Yes.
Exactly. And then that plays a part. Like, well, what if we'd have turned to Penix after we lost the second straight game?
Yeah.
What would it have looked like then? So there's two sides to this coin. Like I said, if you're a bad team like Carolina was, You ending the season the way you ended the season was great. You beat the Falcons to keep them out of playoffs is a fucking you let your fans celebrate, jump up and down, do whatever. I applaud you because we didn't know if Bryce Young was going to be in Carolina any longer.
Yeah.
But he proved that he can play the game. He proved to everybody that I am that guy. The Falcons? No. There is no moral victories here. We shit the bed, losing 4 straight, and then relying on fucking Tampa to lose to the Saints and us beating Carolina is bullshit. Okay? Bullshit. So, yeah, there's two sides. That's the part where I agree and disagree. So, yes, you can have those more victories, but if you're a team like the Falcons or you're a team like Cincinnati or you're a team like you're one of those good teams that was projected to be in the playoffs and you didn't make the fucking playoffs, you have to say it's Super Bowl or bust.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true. This game is going to be super enjoyable, I think, because no one knows these teams better. They play twice a year. This is the only divisional game on the slate this weekend. So it's like, we could talk game analysis, but these teams already know what the hell to do.
So it's 1-1, right?
Yeah, Steelers took the first one, Ravens took the second one.
This is gonna be one of those games where
I don't think it's gonna beat the over though. I think it's gonna be under. I would take the under on that.
So the over 43 points?
Yeah, the over you'd have to take 44.
Like collectively? Like they're gonna score 44 collectively?
Yeah. I'm thinking it's going to be more like 20-10, 17, 21-13, something like that.
I mean, their games are usually not. I mean, the last game they played was high scoring. Only because Baltimore ran away with it.
Yeah.
I mean, the first game they played, I think they lost 20. I think it was 20-17 that they lost. Yeah. It was. 43 points is outrageous. That's a high point. That's a high score for these teams. If this is like Kansas City, Baltimore, I would agree, but that Steelers defense is going to make a point. But
for the Steelers to win, they're going to need Calvin Austin and or Mike Williams to get one of those signature deep passes that just swings the momentum for Pittsburgh. And then, I mean, I don't need to tell them anything they don't already know, but if you don't have Zay Flowers, you're kind of focused more on the run game than you already are.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to play contain. Even though Derrick Henry, I'm sure he's going to get 5 yards at a time. That other defensive end cannot crash down and let Lamar Jackson get to the outside for a long touchdown.
Because that'll happen. Yeah. And George Pickens has to mature.
Yes.
He has been in the news a lot with he has to mature. He has to understand what's on the line today. Your stupid antics cannot come in today's. You have to be that guy. You are the number one guy, and you have to play as such. So you need to come in and you have to demand the ball. And when you get the ball, you have to make plays. You have to make plays.
Now, kicking off the day tomorrow, Sunday, January 12th at 1 p.m.
This is my upset. This is my upset.
The Denver Broncos travel to Buffalo to take on the Bills. Bills favored by 8.5, over under 46.5, and you are saying Bo Nix.
This is my upset. And the reason why I say this is my upset because Denver has a pretty stout defense.
Oh yeah,
they have a pretty stout defense.
Number one in sacks.
Josh Allen doesn't have those outside guys. Keon Coleman showed up a couple times this year.
Shakir and Cooper?
Huh?
Shakir and Cooper.
I think Denver can win this game. I think Bo Nix can win this game for Denver. I do believe that. I can see this being an upset. I can see this being a real upset and Buffalo being sent home.
I think if Denver wins this game, you're going to see a rushing total from Bo Nix that's close to 50 yards. I think he's going to be picking up first downs with his legs if they're going to win.
I agree. It's probably going to be snowy, so I agree. I think the running backs are going to have to play a big part in this game, and Cortland Sutton's going to have to show up.
Oh yeah, big time.
Cortland
And Marvin Mims.
Cortland, yeah, they're going to have to show up against Buffalo's secondary is not great.
No.
They're not, and I think they can. They've been exposed.
Yeah.
So I think they can. I don't trust. I just don't trust Josh Allen.
It's such like when I heard that the Bills were first in sacks allowed, that blew my mind. Like with all the
wait, what?
Yeah, the Bills have allowed the least sacks of any team. I could not believe that with as much running.
Well, that's because Josh Allen, his mental clock is a lot faster. He understands like if it's 2 seconds and I'm still standing here, I need to go. Yeah. He knows that. Josh Allen knows that I need to go. So that's why he doesn't get sacked that often. He's not one of those dumbasses who just jumps around. Or it's 5 seconds now, I'm still standing here. Like he understands that he needs to go. That's why they don't give up that amount of sacks, but I just don't think that's going to be enough because Josh Allen is not going to be able to put this team on his back and win them the game. He's not going to be able to get through the playoffs like that. Like it's not going to work for him.
This could be the game, and I personally know this guy's a star in the league. You might have heard of him too, but if Nick Bonito shows out today for the Broncos at the edge, and
I know he showed out in the Saints game.
Yeah,
when they played. Yeah, so I think I do believe that this has been my upset. Once they made the schedule, this was my upset. This right here, this game right here is going to be my upset. Because
and this is another game.
I do believe that they can beat Buffalo.
This is another one I'm taking the under, but I'm going to take Buffalo, but I'm also going to take the under.
The under as what 46.5?
Yeah. But also,
I think this might be a higher scoring game.
I would take Buffalo to win, but I'm certainly not doing the 8.5. That seems high to me. I can see it being like 24-28, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I think I've seen a lot from Bo Nix this year, and watching his game, I've watched a couple Broncos games this year, and he looks like the best rookie. He looks like he should have been the number one because, he doesn't have – think about it. He doesn't have what Jay Daniels has. Drake May is probably the most poverty-stricken quarterback when it comes to weapons.
Right.
Obviously, Caleb Williams he was the richest one. But I think Bo Nix working with what he had, tight ends, receivers, running backs, he did what he was supposed to do. And that defense stepped up for him. So that's why like I said, the defense, I think the defense can stop the Bills offense. Yeah. And I think that Broncos offense can outmatch that Bills defense.
Yep. And one of those big Marvin Mims touchdown plays that we've seen the last 2 weeks will go a long way in this game.
I
think it's going to be cold as hell. It's going to be snowy.
Yeah, it's going to be cold. It's going to be cold in Buffalo. I figured after I figured everybody was going to do Buffalo.
All Buffalo.
Yeah, because they don't watch football.
On to the game of the weekend, baby. I don't care if Kenny Pickett's playing. I don't care if Jahan Dotson has to step in for a few snaps. Oh, man, as long as we got Saquon Barkley and this monstrous offensive line ahead of him, Packers are not winning this game. They're out Christian Watson, which I don't think is too big of a deal. Dontavian Wicks.
Their defense is hurt.
But, yes, I think they're going to have a real tough time, just like they did in the first game, keeping Saquon contained. And
they don't have Jair. So, A.J. Brown.
No Jair Alexander. Exactly.
Devontae Smith should have a fairly good game against them.
Now,
on the other side,
I guess AJ dealt with a knee injury like the past couple of days, and I guess Devontae has back tightness, so that'll be something to monitor. But I don't think ultimately it'll be anything.
Keep your fingers crossed because if they don't play, it's gonna be a long game
for
both teams. This is gonna be a long game.
If I gotta, I said that thing about Jahan Dotson, but I don't really want to be. I don't really want to be rooting for him and fucking Anaya Smith out there.
Because they've been kind of giving updates saying Jalen Hurts might play, but you gotta want Jalen Hurts to play this game
for sure.
You don't want the ball. You don't want it to be in Kenny Pickett's hands or who's the other guy. Who's the other guy that came in and
Tanner
They'll
McKee.
beat the Cowboys. Who?
Tanner McKee.
Yeah, I mean, you obviously want Jalen. You don't really want to have to turn to those guys, but I mean, I think if you have to turn to those guys, I think that's game. It's gonna. Those are things you got to factor in if Jalen Hurts doesn't play. I mean, based off the spread, I mean, they're still giving the Eagles 4.5.
Yeah. Yeah, this is for the Packers to have any chance. They got to really use Josh Jacobs and use him early and often. And the Eagles have been pretty stout versus the run. You know, Jordan Davis and Carter up there, they're clogging up the lane. So LaFleur is pretty creative. He's going to figure out a way to get Jacobs in space. He's going to figure out a way to get Tucker Kraft and maybe even Luke Musgrave like isolated on a guy, someone like Zach Bond. They'll gain some yards, but I do think ultimately, I mean, the elbow injury for Jordan Love is going to be something to watch. I don't know if that's going to affect his throwing motion or not, but
that's right, because he did get hurt last game.
Yeah.
Man, yeah. This is why you rest your starters. If your playoff spot is solidified, I mean, regardless, I mean, if the only thing that can happen to you is seeding, I don't care. I'm not playing. It doesn't matter where we come in or if we lose and we drop to the 6th seed and we're no longer the 3rd seed, I don't give a shit. I'm not playing. It doesn't.
You say that, but if it could be the difference between going up and playing Green Bay at home or going down and playing Tampa at home in the nice warm sunshine.
If you play in Green Bay, you're used to the cold. If you play it,
team,
for me, it doesn't. I mean, at this point, I mean, we got to deal with it either way. I mean, we just got to deal with it. I feel like if your spot is solidified, if you cannot lose your playoff spot, then I'm not playing. I'm not like Tampa obviously had to play their starters because it's when you're in, lose, you go home.
Right.
But if it's like Green Bay didn't have to play anybody.
Well,
and y'all lost anyway.
Like the Ravens, technically, I mean, they were locked in, but that was playing for the division title. That was playing for seeding. Yeah, I mean,
that's different. Like if you're trying to win the division, it's different. But if it's like Kansas City didn't give a fuck. Kansas City was like, yeah, we'll sit. We don't care. We'll sit everybody. Y'all will beat us by 38. We don't care. Sit everybody. No big deal. So I think I think there's sometimes as a coach you got to really think about it. Like, is it worth? Because I mean, it just takes one play. It takes one play for an ACL to go. It takes one play for a concussion to happen. It takes one play for a fractured collarbone or a broken hand. It just one play, and that's all it takes. Like what they did with Josh Allen. Josh Allen came in and that game against the Patriots, and he started just to keep his streak up. They gave him one play, and then come sit your ass. Now you can come sit your ass down. Sit down and put the jacket on and put the hat on, and you're good done for the day. But I think sometimes you just really got to think about it.
So this is what happened the last time these two teams faced each other. Week 1 in Brazil, which is a very odd game, obviously going all the way down there, and the conditions the way they were, slippery ass field and whatnot. But
Parker hit 3 touchdowns.
Eagles win by 5. Love threw for 2. Hurts threw for 2. Hurts threw 2 nasty interceptions.
Yeah.
Jaden Reed had a huge game. AJ had a huge game. So it's going to be very interesting. Jaden Reed's been very quiet, and I'm sure that's making the Packers fan base very nervous, is that he hasn't had anything going in a while.
We're going to see.
Because he's going to be matched up against one of the exciting whites for Eagles, and that is Eugene.
We're going to see how that matchup plays out. I think I'm going to give it to Philly. But what do you feel about the Sunday night game?
Oh, are you talking about this game?
Yes, sir.
The Washington Commanders traveling to Tampa Bay to take on the Buccaneers. Buccaneers favored by 3, over and under of highest for that weekend.
Why?
50.5.
50? 50.5?
Ow!
What are they talking about here? Wait a minute. What games have they been watching where either one of these teams collectively put up 50 points? Wait, what?
Oh, you got Baker Mayfield throwing 4 touchdowns a game. Jaden Daniels with his late heroics. I mean, you never know.
I'm just trying to figure out how they give Tampa the spread of 3. Like, I feel like even with the Commanders being on the road, I feel like there should be the favorite.
Wow.
I do believe they are the better team.
Damn.
Um, I don't understand. I don't understand that one, but okay. Because I mean, you saw what they struggled against the Saints last week, and they struggled a lot within the season when they played the Falcons both times. They there was a lot of struggles that this team had a lot this season, and you see there are I don't agree with this.
And this game is going to feature that classic Mike Evans versus Marshawn Lattimore matchup.
Yeah, he was questioned. I think he was on there for questionable, but he's playing, so he's full go. He's ready to go and to reignite his fucking hatred for Mike Evans. I'm gonna put a fight's gonna break out probably the first series between him because it never failed. Them motherfuckers they hate one another.
Like, they do not like each other.
They do not like each other, and it's obvious because
Lattimore seems to get the better of him more often than not.
They've never had a matchup where they didn't fight. I believe that fight is going to happen probably within the first series.
This is going to be one of those games. I think Jaden's going to have to do a lot of work himself. He's going to be running around quite a bit. And then because of that, Mike Evans, Lattimore thing, this is going to be a big, I'm calling it, Bucky Irving, probably, I'm just going to say 150 rush yards.
Yeah. I've watched, you watch what Spencer Rattler did against this Tampa Bay defense last week. They lost they really
throwing to grocery boys, by the way.
Right, exactly. So he wasn't really throwing. He didn't have great weapons to throw to. You talking about you got Terry McLaurin. That guy is. I hate Terry McLaurin. I hate him. I hated him when we played them last year, and he had a great game against us, or year before last. I don't like Terry McLaurin.
Very good.
But I think this what Commanders team is better equipped to deal with Tampa's defense, because Tampa's defense is not scary. And then I think a lot of their secondary is fucking hurt.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to play a factor into the game as well. But I do believe the Commanders, because again, at the same time, Dan Quinn wants to show that he can still be that coach. So for sure. You definitely want to win your first season. You want to win your first game. You for sure. Todd Bowles doesn't have anything to prove. He's already won a Super Bowl. You don't have nothing to prove. But Dan Quinn for sure does.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the Bucs are going to pay a lot of attention to McLaurin, try to limit his big plays. So I think it's going to be
Zach Ertz.
Zach Ertz show quite a bit. Him and Levante David, and I should have looked if Winfield was out there. I'm not sure he is today, but
no, I don't think so. I think because I don't think he's gonna. I think he's pretty much done. Gotcha. I think he's pretty much done. So I don't think he's going to be there. If he's not there, for sure it's going to be a long day for Tampa. But I'm gonna pick the Commanders in this one, and I'm gonna say the Commanders are going to win by at least 2 scores.
Damn, all right. I love an upset. You know me, so I'm down for it. I haven't picked the one yet.
I don't call this an upset. I don't call a 12-5 team beating a 10-7 team.
Yeah, I'm only favored by 3. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they're at home, but I don't see this being an upset. I think the idiots who voted on this game are idiots.
That's actually a really good point. Usually, when you're favored by 3 at home, that means it would have been a wash otherwise. So
yeah, I don't believe. I think this is going to be I think it's going to be close early, and then it's just the Commanders are going to have more. They're just going to have more energy to finish this game.
Okay. I mean. 2 quarterbacks I'm looking forward to watching for sure.
But Baker definitely wants to prove something.
Yeah.
He has to win comeback player of the year. Well, I think he won it last year.
So it looks like here that Winfield will be back.
Back from a 4-game absence. What was he out for?
Maybe I'm gonna say an injury.
Yeah, we'll see. But again, it's missing 4 games in the middle of a season, not like riding a bike. Like that 4-game rust is gonna take some time to get back into that game mode. So I go at him early. If he shows me he can he can defend, then we'll think about it. But if he shows me he's slow, he's a step slow, yeah, I'm picking on you the whole game.
Oh, yeah. Send De'Ami Brown straight down the field.
Yeah, you got to show me that you can play. Because if you can't, that's just grass.
And the final wild card game of the weekend, the Minnesota Vikings traveling to Los Angeles to take on
Nobody has faith in Minnesota.
Sean McVay, Matt Stafford, and the boys, and Kevin O'Connell from Sean McVay coaching tree. So there's a little bit extra there. I think the last time these teams met in the regular season, the Rams won. So there's that mental edge to it as well.
Yeah, I think the same thing is going to happen. What happened in the beginning in the season is going to happen on Monday. I think the Rams win this game.
Now, the Rams did lose a little bit of home field advantage. The team has been moved from LA because of the fires to Arizona. So there's that. But
it's still technically a home game because California is a hop skipping away from Arizona. So I think it's still gonna be a home game. But the way Minnesota played, and this is one thing that I hate Minnesota for because they cost me my my fantasy championship because they decided to let Jahmyr Gibbs go for 4 fucking scores.
Dude.
Okay? I lost by 8 points. 8 points because they let Jahmyr Gibbs go for 4 fucking scores.
And I think one was like last minute or something.
Yes. I'm like, what are y'all doing? I'm like, I was so mad, pissed. I was like, it was all I needed y'all to do was to contain him and let Jameson Williams and fucking Amon-Ra do their thing. Just contain and run and let them throw the ball. That's all I needed you to do. And y'all couldn't fucking do that right. So fuck Minnesota. I hope they get their asses whipped in this game.
They're actually favored by a point.
That's bullshit. They shouldn't be favored by anything because their defense is god awful. Their defense is awful. The fact that Jordan Addison had 1 target for no yards. Justin Jefferson I think he had 5 targets for 54 yards. Are you kidding me? And here's the kicker though. Detroit has the most injuries. They have the most players on injured reserve. I think it's 16. Damn. But also remember this. Remember in 2011. Remember who won the Super Bowl that year?
2011.
It was Green Bay. 2010-2011 season. Green Bay won the Super Bowl. Green Bay had the most players on IR, and they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So the fact that Detroit dominated Minnesota with a lot of fucking backups tells me that this team is well prepared and well coached, and it's a big possibility that they can get their main guy back before the Super Bowl. So,
Hutchinson?
Yeah, they say he can. If they make the Super Bowl, he could be back. He might be back sooner.
Montgomery's supposed to be back as well.
Yeah, Montgomery's back next week, they say. So, this bye week, Detroit needs it. But yeah, the Rams. I couldn't pick Minnesota in this game because the Rams defensively their defense is good. They really have a pretty decent defense. Yeah,
I think last 4 weeks, opponents less than 10 points. That's crazy.
Yeah. So and then Minnesota struggled. They gave up 9. They put up 9 points last week. So. So they're right in the wheelhouse for the Rams defense. This is probably going to be one of the games that I don't watch.
Wow.
Because I just don't. Minnesota is just they're a shit 14-3. They're a bad 14-3. They really are. They really are a bad 14-3. Both 2 of their losses came to Detroit. They are they're a bad 14-3 team, and it shows.
They are Jefferson and the chemistry and the route running is fun to watch, and sometimes they'll get a big play to like Jalen Naylor, but yeah, they're kind of a boring team to watch usually.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing spectacular about. I like watching Detroit. Detroit is just that team. They're probably the most exciting team to watch. Kansas City is in the same wheelhouse as Minnesota. They're a boring fucking team to watch. When they drafted Xavier Worthy, I was like, oh shit, we finna have fireworks. And Patrick Mahomes decided to regress for whatever goddamn reason, and it's just been boring to watch Kansas City.
I gotta ask you, Minnesota brought in Darnold originally just as kind of like let's kick the tires, see what happens. We
You got
drafted
to keep him.
so
you got to sign. You got to treat him like Baker. You got to give him that 3-year 180.
Even if he loses this game,
even if he loses this game, he's the best. Okay, JJ McCarthy.
Let's say he throws 3 picks in this game, and
you still got to keep him.
Okay.
I mean, Sam Darnold's been playing great all year. No one thought when they said Sam Darnold was a starter, everybody was like, "Oh shit, that's it for Minnesota season." Sam Darnold came out and played fucking. He's been playing lights out all year.
I made a bet with my cousin who's a Vikings fan. As soon as they signed Sam Darnold, they would make the playoffs for the next 5 years. So I already lost that bet.
For sure, I agree. But you gotta keep him because JJ McCarthy, and I'm always going to say this: JJ McCarthy is not NFL ready. He's not that guy. He was not the guy in college. We all saw it. He didn't have to throw that much. I don't think he's going to be that guy. But
he'd be the top-ranked quarterback in this class.
What?
Colin Cowherd said he'd be the top-ranked quarterback in this class.
I agree. So I look at it like this: the season's over. Win or lose, you got to sign him. You got to give him that Baker contract. You got to give him that 3 years, 180, or somewhere in that wheelhouse. You're not gonna give him 4 years because of his age. You're not gonna give him 4 years, so I would give him 3 years, probably about 180, 190, somewhere in that wheelhouse. So that way, he's not completely breaking the bank. And if he regresses, you can cut him, and it won't be that massive cap hit like we gotta take if we cut fucking Kirk Cousins.
Well, that's what this is just fascinating to me as someone who's basically in the same situation. And you were saying, I just wonder what if we had turned to the young guy earlier. So it's going to be interesting if they start off kind of rocky after re-signing him, and JJ's just sitting there like, man, I wish I was winning games.
But I think I look at it like this: Sam Darnold showed everyone he can still play this game.
And
if you look at it, you look at Baker and you look at Baker and you look at Sam Darnold, right?
Yeah.
They were both in the same situation. They were both drafted by poverty-stricken franchises. One was drafted to Cleveland, the other was drafted to the Jets, and they bounced around for so many years, and they finally found that team. Baker found Tampa, Sam Darnold found Minnesota. I think this is a good fit for him. They got great weapons. I think you can upgrade the running back position. I think he's in a good situation, and I think this is a good pairing for Minnesota. You would be stupid not to re-sign him and put everything on JJ's shoulders, because what's going to happen is you're going to fucking fall. You're going to fall. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't trust it. He's been your saving grace, because everybody was like, where do they turn here after losing Kirk? You got your guy. Keep him. I don't understand why franchises do that. Keep him. You have a guy. Keep him. It's not going to kill you.
Well, they cost money.
And yes, you know what else costs money? Having to draft a new quarterback every year. Okay? That's what costs money. Look at the fucking Jets. They got to draft another quarterback. You took fucking, what's his name? The MILF lover, and God damn it, in the first round. He didn't work out at all. And he was like, let's go get Aaron Rodgers. And then you get Aaron Rodgers, and then he doesn't live up to the standard. And now look where you're at. Now you have to hope you can get a quarterback. I'm going to be completely honest, and I want to say this on record before anything happens, before anybody says this. I don't think Shedeur Sanders is a first-round quarterback.
I think there's a lot of people who agree with you.
Said it. I don't think he's a first-round quarterback. I just don't think he is that guy. I think because of who his dad is and how much attention they got, I think that's why people are saying he's not a first-round talent. He's not. He's honestly not. I think he's maybe a second-day, maybe third-day guy. But I think Tennessee's going to pass on him. I think Tennessee might go for Cam Ward, or they may go for the guy from Penn State.
Really?
I just don't think I'm not risking Shador. I'm not risking Shador. I'm not risking it. He's not that guy. He's not. There were flashes in college, but I didn't see a lot of reading defenses, pre snap, post snap. I just see like he got confused a lot. He held on to the ball way too goddamn long. Yes, his offensive line was paper mache, but at the same time, dude, you got to go. I don't believe he's going to be a first round talent. I just don't. I think he's not going to be a day one starter. And if he is, it is going to be a fucking nightmare for whoever his head coach is.
I tend to agree with you. I think he has a lot of things to learn about getting the ball out sooner. That clock and just think, yeah, I agree.
But the thing is, I think Brady's going to make that mistake because, Brady, him and Brady's they've had a relationship since he's been in college. And Brady says he likes his mechanics. So I think Las Vegas might make that mistake, but I wouldn't. I would wait. I don't see anyone breaking their necks to get him. He definitely. I would say he's a day two guy for sure.
I was trying to find a good bracket so that I could see, once our picks advance, who they're going to play. I'm just not sure. I think we have to wait because the seeding, I think, is going to kind of change things around. But
yeah, because I think if it just depends on who wins what. I think if the Chargers win, they play Kansas City. No, because I think it depends on the seeding. So if the Chargers win, I think they drop. I think do they drop down? I'm trying to remember because this shit gets confusing.
Yeah, I wonder if because
one has to play. So if Broncos win, they play Kansas City.
I think they would play the Ravens, and then Kansas City as the 1 seed would play the lowest seed, which would be the Chargers.
Right. So if the Broncos win, they got to play the lowest seeding. So
yeah,
if the
Broncos win, yeah.
So if the Broncos and Chargers win, then Kansas City plays Denver.
Yep.
The Chargers play the Ravens if the Ravens win.
Yeah.
So it just depends on who wins the game. It just depends on who wins and who loses. So we probably won't know anything until fucking.
And you would have that divisional game between the Broncos and the Chiefs, and you would have the Harbaugh game between the Ravens and the Chargers. That'd be pretty.
That would be prime NFL scripting. If you can get the Harbaugh boys to play in another game, a playoff game, and then get Denver and Kansas City. Now, mind you, Kansas City got 38 put on their ass last week.
Yeah, but my boy Carson Wentz at the helm.
None of their starters played, but they still got 38 put on their ass. So I think that's going to be like, let's see who can do this. But I can I be honest here? I don't believe in Kansas City. I don't. I think their luck is at some point their luck's going to run out. I think they've been lucky way too much, and I think if they play the Broncos again, I don't think the Broncos are going to allow a blocked field goal to lose the game.
I had to show you something I just came across. This is a hat I got when Carson Wentz was at his prime.
when
you might not be able to see it, but
he wasn't blowing his knee out.
There's little lights in there. I can't figure out how to get the light up again.
Oh man, but I think that would be prime NFL scripting, because I mean you think about it. If you do so, you get the Chargers, Ravens, Broncos, Kansas City, and then on the NFC side you get Eagles, Lions, and probably.
I think you would.
There's no real script on the NFC side.
I think you would get Eagles, Commanders because
Eagles, Commanders, and then Lions probably,
and the Rams.
Yeah. I mean, so I guess that's a script there. I mean, did the Rams beat the Lions this year?
If they did, I don't remember going that way.
I don't know.
But the Eagles and the Commanders split, so that'd fucking be.
So that would be that like, okay, this is it. Y'all beat us once, we beat y'all once. We're gonna see who's gonna do this. So I mean, there's a lot of scripts there. There's a lot of interesting storylines that can be played, but I don't trust Kansas City.
I can't tell you. I mean, honestly, we didn't discuss it a whole lot originally, but I am very happy to be playing the Packers first round because we have that mental edge of already having beat them. The Bucs whipped our ass this year, and the Commanders, like I said, we split with. So it's nice to start off with a team that you beat already.
Right, and then you don't have to worry about anything. You know the formula. You know how you beat them last time. Yep. A big dose of Saquon and a couple deep shots. So, this is probably going to be one of the more interesting playoffs because of the storylines that are there. But we shall see. I'm sticking to Buffalo. I'm sticking to Denver. Denver's. I believe they're going to upset Buffalo in Buffalo, and they're going to send those Buffalo fans home.
You took 3 upsets. You got Buffalo, you took the Commanders, and you took the Rams.
Yeah, exactly. Though because I've watched a lot of your games this year, and like I said, it's Denver got hot. Again, remember the Giants. This happened to the Giants the year they won their first championship. In the Eli era, is they were 9-7 at one point. They were 9-7 and got into the playoffs.
Yep.
And they got hot towards the end of the year, and they just kept going. So I think that Denver's done the same thing. They got hot. Now, mind you, Kansas City fucked themselves. You allowing a team to put up 38 points, whether it's your backups or whatever the situation is, you do understand how much confidence you give to a team, especially a young team with a young quarterback. We put up 38 on Kansas City. Okay, cool. That shit goes into now we got to go play Buffalo, who doesn't have as much defensively and offensively as Kansas City has. They don't have an annoying tight end like Travis Kelce, who somehow manages to always get the fuck open. They don't have that.
Yes, sir.
So it's going to be interesting.
It is going to be very interesting. This Houston-LA game is kicking off in about 2 hours Eastern time. And about 2 hours across the country. It just depends on what time it's going to be for you, because I know how time works, So, yeah, before we get out of here, I mean, I'm going to go. I think I'm going to take my second shower of the day already just because I'm chilly and I want to get warm again.
Why the fuck are you taking a shower? Just turn the heater on.
I might. But
it's cold.
I'm alone. It's nice. I can walk around the house naked.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, and by the way, I mean, I might do podcasts here from now. If I can swing it to where like the kids and stuff don't hear me, I only moved it a little bit over, and I'm already getting emails from Blue Chew about a sponsorship, and all of a sudden the production is just great over here in the dining room compared to the living room. But before we get out of here, my man, you said you were streaming before this. Would you like to plug that? Would you like to put your name in?
Nah, not really.
No?
No, so I mean, I usually stream on Twitch. The username is Black Mass Gaming 45. So if you're on, just happen to be on Twitch, please just come stop by, say hi.
What's your game of choice?
It varies. Depends on the mood. Sometimes it's Grand Theft Auto. Sometimes it just depends on the mood. I mean,
are you a top ranked Rocket League guy?
Fuck no. I play Rocket League. I played that once when it very first came out. I was like, this game is just it's repetitive. I mean, it's fun if you don't have shit to do, but I'm like, nah.
All right, fair enough. On that note, MFers, thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy the games today. Enjoy the college championship game coming up on the 20th. And I hope you guys had a happy new year, all that stuff. Keep up with the show. Just because the season's over doesn't mean we're going to stop. We're going to start talking about draft prospects and free agents and coaching moves and all the stuff that comes with the offseason. We're going to talk about Skip Bayless having to start his own podcast because he's going to get out of the job, and Joy Taylor's going to be on OnlyFans, and that's going to be a whole thing. So thank you so much, guys. Enjoy the day. He's Nate. I'm Dylan. Peace out.